Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bell. Today, Amy Wilson and Anabel Snyder stopped by to talk about Newcomers Academy and how we support students who are new to the United States. We're so glad to have you guys on the show. Amy, will you go ahead and tell us a little bit about how you got your start here in Barrow County, what you do?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Thank you so much for having us today. Like you said, my name's Amy Wilson, and I've actually been teaching in Barrow County for a long time now, just starting my 16th year, I believe. Back in 2008, I was a student teacher at Appalachia High School under Jennifer Carter teaching Spanish, and I taught at Appalachia for 9 years, 5 years teaching Spanish, 4 teaching ESOL. I transitioned into ESOL, and then from there moved into Newcomer Academy in 2017. And so Barrow County is my home. My own children go to school in Barrow County, and I just absolutely love it.
And you, Anabel?
Again, thank you for having us. I am Anabel Snyder, and I've been in Barrow County for, I believe, 7 years. Before coming here, I work in Fulton County, I work in Gwinnett County, and I work in a charter school, a state charter school. But Barrow County is now my home, and Newcomers Academy overall is now my home. I started in Newcomers in 2019, just before we all went home with the pandemic. Before that, I worked in Holsonbeck Elementary School for 4 years, and I had a great team of teachers in there, a great experience. But now Newcomers is my place in the world.
It's your baby.
My baby, yes.
So you said Newcomers came up in 2017. That's when it started?
Yes.
Okay. So what started it all? What was the idea of Newcomers Academy, and where did it begin?
Yeah, so I was teaching ESOL at Appalachia. I was their ESOL coordinator there, which means that I was in charge of making sure all of our English learners at Appalachia were receiving their services through ESOL, which is a big job. And I noticed a trend of more and more students coming directly from another country with little to no English. And I felt that I didn't have a good option for them. All the teachers were willing to help. Everyone wanted to do right by these students, but it just did not ever feel like we had enough to offer them. Our traditional ESOL services work great for our students once they get a certain level of English, but for the newbies, it's just a challenge, and they have their own unique set of challenges and needs. And so I was informally cobbling together things to do for these newcomer students while I was at Appalachia, but it occurred to me, we need something different. We need to take the pressure and the stress off of these homeschool teachers that are working with the regular population of students, trying to meet the needs of everyone in their classroom, and we need to meet the needs of these newcomers and their families. So it really all started with me just sending an email to my then boss at the district level, Julie Eldridge, and I was like, hey, what do you think about doing some research? Like, there's got to be some programs out there working with newcomer students, and can we go visit some? Can we talk about what we could do? And thankfully, she didn't say, no, you're crazy, or that sounds like a lot of trouble, or that's a lot of paperwork. She said, sure, let's do it. So we basically spent the rest of that school year researching. We visited different newcomer academies or versions of newcomer programs in and around Barrow County, kind of took the best ideas that we could find, and then adapted those ideas to fit the needs of our Barrow County school system and families. And from there, we developed a proposal. We went in front of the board, and thankfully, Barrow County was very bold and liked the proposal and gave us the green light. And so since 2017, the program's been in existence. It's changed and evolved year after year, and it continues to change and evolve as our demographics change, as the newcomers come in, change, as our teachers change, and our team grows. So we're constantly evolving to adapt to what is needed. But yeah, thankfully, Barrow County is very supportive and has been since the beginning, and we're very grateful for that. It makes a big difference.
Okay. So Anabel, what brought you onto the Newcomers Academy? I know you talked a little bit about you were a teacher here and worked a little bit, but how did you get over into the Newcomers Academy?
Well, at the same time that Amy was creating this program and seeing the challenges that students students new to the county and to the country had in their classroom, I was teaching special education in elementary school. But I was seeing exactly the same challenges with our elementary school students. Once that they come, they're introduced to a classroom, the poor babies are lost, they're struggling, and the teachers at the same time are struggling to what to do with these new students. As I say, I loved my job and I would have stayed there forever, but when I had the opportunity to come and visit Newcomers Academy and see the wonderful things that Amy was doing in here, and all the students and all the possibilities that Newcomers Academy had ahead, I had to say, okay, let me come here and put the effort and and see what I can offer to just keep on growing this program.
That's amazing. So what exactly is the day-to-day basis of the Newcomers Academy program?
So the nuts and bolts are that we work with all 3 high schools in the county. So our students come from Appalachia, Winder, or Bassa, if they fall within the criteria that we look for. So we generally look for students who have less than 1 completed academic school year in the United States and a beginning level of English proficiency. And from there, we work with the homeschools to schedule the students appropriately. If they do end up with us, they stay with us all day. They're with us the entire school day. And they stay with us for a semester or more typically a school year, although we look at each student individually and we really try to pay attention to what that student is prepared to do, where they can be successful. So there's a lot of factors that go into that decision. The ultimate goal is to get the students out of the program where they don't need us. So that's always where we're headed. But the students, while they're with us, they're on a regular schedule. They take their 4 classes a day. In the fall, we offer primarily English classes. So the students are spending the bulk of their day working on English language, grammar, and vocabulary. Those classes are structured around certain content areas, so they might take a period of English language and the content of math, English language and the content of social studies, but basically we try to prime the students and preview those key standards that they're going to see when they return to their home schools so that they have a base, not just in the language, but also in the content. You think about students coming from outside the U.S. who are all required to take U.S. history as a graduation requirement. Well, oftentimes they're missing a lot of that background information that our students have. So that would be an area where we focus and try to kind of build up those skills to prepare those students and hopefully also make the teacher's life a little easier when they return to the classroom. We also offer academic classes, so we have multicultural literature, which I teach to satisfy a literature requirement, and Annabelle co-teaches an algebra class, which is very important for our students to get that math background knowledge and vocabulary. Also, as of last year, I teach health and PE, so that was a new challenge for me. We had previously partnered with Bassa, who had been super generous about letting us use a segment of one of their health and PE teachers to work with our guys. And we found that to be so important for them, because not only did it allow them something different than English, something different than academic content, a way for them to have some fun, break up their day, but health and PE is a graduation requirement for all high school students. So it's a doable class for newcomer students when done correctly. But as Bass is growing, as the whole county is growing, they said, sorry, our teachers have a full schedule. They could no longer give us their PE teacher. And I thought, okay, well, I've done a little bit of health and fitness in my background. Let me just see if I can pass this health and PE GACE. And so I did. I studied and I took it and I started teaching the class. It's been a lot of fun. I've learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot and as we go along, but we're really glad to be able to offer that to our students, to give them something outside the classroom, just something a little different while they're here with us. Any other academic classes I'm not thinking of?
In addition, we are doing Spanish. I teach in this usually second semester Spanish for native speakers. The students, most of our students, a biggest percentage are native Spanish speakers. So they get to take the 2 tests to get credit for Spanish 1, Spanish 2. And with the third class, they also leave Newcomers Academy with one more graduation requirement. That is one of the pathways completed.
That's awesome.
So yes, we try to use this transition time not only to prepare the students to go to their home schools and do well in their academic classes, but also we want to be sure that they are on their path to graduation. So whatever it takes, even if it's getting more certifications.
I think I'm done. I don't think I'm going to get any more. I'm not sure what else I could get, but we're always walking that balance of being realistic about what our students can handle and moving them towards graduation, because at the end of the day, to graduate, they need the same requirements as any other student in the county, and we don't want to throw anybody off their graduation track. So we are very fortunate to be able to get to know our students really well and get a sense of what they can handle and what they're ready for, and we're not afraid to push them if we feel they're ready.
So what is the mission of Newcomers Academy, and how was it created?
So our official vision statement, if you don't mind if I read it to you, that we came up with is: we strive to empower international students and families and promote a spirit of empathy and inclusivity in Barrow County by bridging linguistic and cultural divides and celebrating diversity in our community. So basically, we see our role as being a connection between newcomer students and their families, the school system, and the community. So if you look at what we're doing day in and day out in the classroom, also out in the community, we're always trying to make these connections between our students and the resources available to them, the people in our community, and we do that through a variety of ways. But if you follow us on social media, a hashtag that we love to use is bridging cultures, creating community. And we kind of laugh how often we use that and use that slogan, but it really does, I think, exemplify what we try to do, which is bring everybody together. So yes, we're trying to serve our students and their families and meet their needs, but we really do believe that our community is better off for having these wonderful people coming into our community, sharing their gifts, sharing their talents, giving back. And I would say, and I'm sure Annabelle will agree, that the fruits of our labor in connecting our students to the community has just been very powerful, very impactful for them and for our community and school system.
We came up by knowing our students and their needs with this little graph that we love to share always with everyone, where the student is the center of our practice. And it's not only English development what we're focusing here. English development is one piece of this big puzzle. Academic support, emotional support. Most of our students come to us with a story, or they're going through some trauma, or they have lived trauma very recently. So we need to be aware of that situation that they are, and we need to support them. We want to be sure that when we try them to learn something academic in the classroom, they're prepared for that emotionally. They have all the support that they need.
Do you ever have students that aren't just Spanish speakers? I know that you said that it's a majority of Spanish speakers right now. What does the classroom setting look like whenever you do have multiple different languages at once?
We do. So far, it's always been majority Spanish speaker, but never only Spanish speaker. Mm-hmm. We have had students from, you'll have to help me make sure I don't forget some of these countries, because you might be surprised. I know I'm surprised at the diversity within our county sometimes, but we've had students from Afghanistan, China, Laos, Haiti, Guinea, Africa, Ukraine, Belarus, Vietnam. Did I actually remember all of them?
I think that's it, besides all the Spanish-speaking, pretty much every country.
Yes. I'm sure there's some that I'm not thinking of, but like Annabelle said, every Spanish-speaking country you can possibly think of. And that was eye-opening for me, because I thought, as I was beginning this program, okay, it'll be all newcomers. I'll kind of have this, not homogenous, but a group of people that are similar and similar needs. Not really. There's a lot of diversity within our newcomers, although some of their general needs are the same, like Annabelle mentioned, social emotional support, introduction to expectations of the county. Everything from the dialect of Spanish to the academic background, you name it, there's a lot of diversity within our group. Even just within the Spanish, we have some hilarious interactions and conversations, because you think about people who speak English here versus England versus Australia. I mean, those are, yes, it's the same language, but it's not the exact same thing. So you hear them teaching each other words and picking up the dialects from one another, or saying, what is that word? That doesn't mean that, or we say this. And so it's really just very interesting to kind of see all the interactions and what the students have in common, but also, you know, the differences.
Is it difficult to sit down and teach that same curriculum and standards to those students with those, you know, different language barriers? Or do they find a way to make it like, all right, we're doing this together, and we're going to make it happen? So how does that look?
It can be difficult. There are times that it's difficult for a variety of reasons. One of the differences is educational background. So you'll get some students who are very strong academically, have a lot of experience in school. They understand how to do school, for lack of a better term. They know how to study, take notes. And you have some students that have interrupted, limited formal education, and that is a different ballgame. So we do have to differentiate quite a bit for our students, and we do that in a lot of different ways. Our students aren't together all day. We have multiple teachers in the program. So we have different schedules depending on what students need, what students can handle. We have a paraprofessional, which is a huge gift, because our parapros stay busy, working with students, remediating, sitting one-on-one, basically filling in the gaps, whatever is needed. And also a beautiful thing about our program is the sense of camaraderie that always happens. Each year, at the end of the year, I think, there's no way next year we're going to have this same level of closeness. We're going to have this, you know, same sense of family. And every year we do. It's friendships forged in fire. You know, they're all going through something at the same time. And so it ends up really bonding them to each other, to us, regardless of their language or their background. But in that sense, they are so good about taking care of one another. Students quickly become leaders within our program. We encourage that, and it happens naturally, because the kid that was a newcomer last month is the expert to that kid who just started today. And that's the nature of our program. And another big reason that we exist is because our students come all throughout the year. So it's a little different than your classes at your typical homeschool that, you know, start in August, end in December. Although that's what it looks like, you know, on our schedule in Infinite Campus, our students come and go. So we often have new students that we're trying to kind of catch up and fill in, and we really rely on our students to help one another, and generally they do not disappoint. They're very good about reaching out and helping.
You are constantly learning and reinventing yourself and reinventing your classroom and the way you approach your classroom. Talk about innovation. You need to be rethinking it constantly. You need to be coming up with ways to reach to each one of these students. Like Amy said, the diversity is not only in the different languages, dialects, academics level that these students have and the needs that they have. So you cannot teach the same lesson 2 years in a row the same way. You cannot approach the curriculum the same exact way. And the students, the personalities that you have in the classroom is so dynamic. And it just keeps you on your toes and keeps you always creating something new.
Is there middle school newcomers or elementary, or is it strictly just high school level right now?
The high school newcomer has been the only newcomer program since 2017, although last year the county did launch a middle school newcomer program that's housed at Westside Middle School, and they are working to establish their practices and procedures and their norms for how they serve those middle school students. And we're glad that they are, because there is a need in middle school and in elementary, really, and we're always on the lookout for ways that we can serve those other ages, because most of the time they're our students' family anyway. Our students, like Annabelle said, we don't just serve the student, we serve the whole family. So they have siblings in the elementary schools or in the middle school. So we're very excited and grateful that the county is working to continue to find ways to meet that need and serve those students and those families, because this is definitely a trend that is not changing anytime soon.
Now, every year, we visit all the newcomers in all the elementary schools, and using grant money with our partners, tax fees, grants, we bring books and
Learning
we call
materials.
it learning materials. We call it a literacy bag. And we get to visit all those newcomers in every elementary school and bring them their literacy bag and some books.
So what are the primary challenges that students face when they're adjusting to this new life in this new country?
Like Annabelle mentioned, English is not always the focus, and sometimes it's not the focus right away at all, because we do have students come with varying degrees of trauma that just need some time. They've been plucked out of their comfort zone. They're either with new people and or separated from the people they've been with their entire lives. And, it's hard for anybody to sit down and focus in a classroom if they've just gone through that. So, we're very grateful to get the chance to talk to our students, talk to their families, and kind of get a sense for how they're doing. We've also been very fortunate to have the opportunity to offer some group counseling sessions for our students, which we found to be very effective and very needed for them, because there's only so much we can do, and our students know how much we love them and how much we have their back, and we do, but then we run up against our own limitations. So it is nice to welcome an expert, a professional in that field, to help them sort through what they're feeling and what they're going through. So those social emotional needs, I think, are primary, although really that's true for all of our students. Even when I was in a gen ed setting, there's lots of conversation around that, and because it's true, relationships are key. Knowing who's in your classroom is key. It just so happens that our group of students are in a very unique situation. So getting to know kind of where they are emotionally, but then of course the English is a big thing. It's intimidating for them, and they're older. That was one of the reasons that I began Newcomer Academy for high school, is because it's a lot different to be 15, 16, 17 learning a new language than it is to be an elementary student. Not to say it's not difficult at elementary, it is, but it's a different ballgame when you're sitting in geometry and U.S. history and learning the language. So they do need that time to get the foundation. Of course, we can't make anybody fluent in a semester or a year. We wish we could, but we can lay that foundation, and we can empower them to find ways to continue to grow and develop after they leave us, and be resourceful to get by with what they have. So the language, the social emotional, the tangible needs, like the clothes closet. New Path is wonderful at providing food bags for our families once a week. So we Midway Christian Church donates book bags fully stocked with school supplies. So those tangible, immediate needs as well, to kind of take some pressure off the family and allow them to start the process of getting acclimated.
From my own experience coming to the country, and I came in a completely different situation than most of our students. I came here, I was pretty much grown-up person. I came because I wanted. I didn't leave everything behind, not thinking that I could not go back. Okay, I could turn around, get in a plane, and wake up in Buenos Aires the next morning and visit my family, and my family will visit me. These students left, in most cases, I will say, left everything behind. And they came here because they needed to come here. Sometimes on their own, sometimes with their entire family. And once that you get here, everything is new, especially if the language is a barrier if you came with not English. From the food, and that is if you ask each one of our students, what do you miss the most? The food. And I know that you can find Mexican food and Venezuelan food. It's not the same. It's not. And they say the food, but it's a lot how grandma cook the food, or how we got together on the weekend and sat at the table together.
Yeah.
So all those things that you feel that you were used to do very comfortably, and the way you move and you went to visit your friends and how independent you were in your country, even for our teenagers, you come in here and you feel handicapped. You feel like now the person that you were back at home is not here anymore. And you need to redefine yourself. You need to find this new identity. Who am I now?
I can't imagine whenever you sit here and explain it like that, then I really try to like put myself in that situation where I'm somewhere else, can't speak the language, don't know anything about the food, don't know anybody. Like, it would be a big change.
Mm-hmm. It is difficult sometimes when we go to on vacations to a different country and we know this is a transitory thing and we're having fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what I order right now? This menu makes no sense to me. Or how I say hello to that girl that is walking in there, or to that boy. And now this is my life, and I don't know how to do it, and tomorrow is going to be the same, and the next day is going to be the same. I am not going back home. So it is very life-changing, and, something that emotionally is pretty hard to take.
Yeah. So for students that are just moving here, how do they find out about the program, and do they go to one of the schools that they're signing up for originally, and then they find out, oh, there's a Newcomers Academy program? So what's the process of them signing up, and just walk me through that.
When a student registers in Barrow County and indicates that they have a language other than English in their background, their homeschool is alerted, and also we are alerted. Okay. So it starts with a conversation between the homeschool and us. So if we happen to see the enrollment first and say, okay, this student's coming straight from Honduras, family indicates little English, then we go ahead and let the homeschool know, hey, we're going to reach out. And it all starts with a conversation because each situation is different. So it's usually Annabelle will just call the family and say, hey, this is who we are. This is what we offer. Does this sound like something that your student needs? If so, they come in and meet with us. And this is one thing that Annabelle does such a great job on the front end with, which is family orientation meetings. And they really are orientation meetings. She sits down with a checklist and we go through the students' academic background. Do they have any credits from their homeschool? Did they take any English in their homeschool? Were they involved in any sports in their homeschool, any activities? What's the family situation like? And then we share all the basics with them, which is a lot because it's all new to them. So everything from buses and bus routes, lunches and lunch number and free and reduced lunch, graduation plan. It looks so different. That's always confusing too for our students about what grade am I in? How do I know? And so we spend a long time looking at these are the classes you need. This is how you graduate. This is what a pathway is. This is what the bell schedule looks like. I mean, down to the nitty-gritty nuts and bolts that some of us you can kind of take for granted, especially those of us that have been in education for so long. It's like a second language we speak, but the whole thing is new for these families and students, and they're so intimidated. So we try to put them at ease right out of the gate, that this is what it's going to look like, this is how long you'll be a newcomer, and we try to, if they do end up being one of our newcomers, we try to immediately start connecting them to their home school so that it's not too much of a shock when they go back to Appalachia or Winder or Bassa, but let them know, you're at Appalachia Wildcat, you're a Winder Bear Bulldog, and this is your school, and these are your colors, and this is the mascot, and this is the principal. So we go ahead and try to start getting them in that mindset of what their home school is, even though you're a newcomer at Sims temporarily, this is your home school. Annabelle, when she came on, she really got the ball rolling as far as connecting our students in a tangible way to the community. And it's been so much fun, but it's also just made me so grateful for our community because I've just seen so much generosity and caring and friendliness from our community members, whether they're local businesses or community members that we see when we're out and about. But just to share a couple of the initiatives that we do, we started last year our initiative called Rocket into Spanish, where a group of our Spanish-speaking newcomers and myself would go once a week and teach Spanish in the after-school program at Austin Road. And that was just so much fun. My high school newcomers impressed me so much. They had to make lesson plans. They had to have a plan when they went down there, come up with little games, and which was, of course, funny for me as a teacher watching them, because sometimes they'd be like, Miss Wilson, this kid's not listening. I'm like, oh, really? Really? A kid's not listening? Imagine that. But no, they really were so caring about it. So many of them brought stuff in on their own, bought their own, I brought this candy because it's from my country. I want them to try it. They just loved it. And, of course, the elementary kids, they absolutely adored these high schoolers that would come in, and we would do little lessons on food or animals and basic vocabulary. And it was particularly special for me because my own children at Austin Road Elementary were in the class.
Aww.
So it was just very sweet for me to see them saying, Miss Serai, can I do this? Or Mr. Noe, just seeing them interacting with my students was really sweet. Seeing the high schoolers step up and be leaders and be so caring. And for the elementary kids to get that valuable skill. Being bilingual nowadays is really almost essential. Even last week, I went to pick up my students from Austin Road, and the secretary there, or the receptionist there, her daughter had been in the Rocket into Spanish last year, and she was in 5th grade. And she's like, she's in 6th grade now, and she just started Spanish, and she said she feels so much better that she has a little foundation. I was like, oh, yay, I'm so happy about that. So that's one way that we try to connect with the community and leverage our students' natural gifts and assets to better our community.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the days of service?
Every month we are part of, we have our days of service. We started helping with food distribution in the Winder Pantry. So we go there every 4th Thursday of the month, and we help with the food distribution, and that is an amazing experience. That is such a heartwarming experience, how our students are eager to help, and they work the hardest that you see them ever working. It's like, oh, look at you, you can work hard. And then trying to communicate with the community members. Usually there is a church or community business that is helping that month with the food distribution, and so they get to meet all these new people and try to communicate. And the volunteers, they're always there, and they look forward to interact with our students. And that interaction is for us, I think that it is so important. See the community welcome our students and trying to learn about them, and our students making all this effort. It's like, I don't understand how I say it, and I'm making friends with these people.
Yeah.
So that is one of the things we do to just reach out and connect the kids with not only the school, but
the community
at large. Last year also we worked with Adventure Bags, where Amy went there with a group of students and helped put together the backpacks for the foster children. And the kids are very surprised to learn things. Oh, so there here in America are children that need help too. It's not, sometimes they come with an idea that everything is 100% perfect in here. And it's other way to show them, you might need help. There's a lot of people that need help. And there are all these places in here, they are giving help and giving support to anyone that needs that. So that is other way to, they get to learn that they are these other services or these other opportunities outside the school walls.
So they're getting to build their community by all of these programs.
And we expect that then they're ambassadors. They will take this home, and they would show this to mom and dad and to their siblings and the uncle and aunt or whoever is the neighbors. One of the partnerships I don't want to leave out is with Adult Literacy Barrow.
Okay.
A few years ago, we touched bases with them, we connected, and now this is our 3rd year that they offer English as a second language classes in our classrooms here at Sims Academy. So that is something that in our initial meeting, when we meet with the families, is like, okay, and many times they ask, is there any place where I can learn? I take classes or
Yeah.
so yes, right here in this classroom, these times you can come over and learn English.
Does their student have to be in Newcomer Academy for them
No.
to? So anybody that might,
Yes.
okay, where can they find that information at if they?
Our students have the information, and I can share right here in Sims Academy. Adult Literacy Bureau offers adult instruction on Mondays and Wednesdays, 5:30 to 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And all what they need to do is just come over and say, I want to learn English, and they're welcome. But also in the Wimberley Center in Winder, they have several classes during the day and at night. And they offer transportation, they offer child care, and they have other location in Auburn. Also during the day. They also offer GED and GED in Spanish. That is other one of the things that we keep in our pocket for students that might be aging out of the system and don't have enough credits to graduate. So we can put them in touch with Adult Literacy Bureau, and they have other way to keep on learning English and maybe earn a GED if they cannot graduate with us.
Well, thank you for sharing all of these resources for our families and our community. I think that this is a very informational episode, and I'm so glad that you could come on. Well, that was a deep dive into the Newcomers Academy and the great work that we do to support our students moving to the United States. Make sure to visit our website and our social medias for more information. And remember, the learning journey never stops. It continues beyond the bell.